Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday, everybody. And summertime. I can't believe July is literally right around the corner. Thank you so much for being here. For those of you that might be watching on a summer vacation, if you're joining from the mountains or from the beach, or you're traveling on a plane and somehow you're able to listen streaming, that's amazing. So thank you guys for being here. Welcome to the Edition Live. I'm your host, Dana Snyder, CEO and founder of Positive Equation. And at Positive Equation, if you're familiar with what I do, we equip nonprofit leaders and marketers with the digital marketing tools and knowledge necessary to attract new donors, love on the current ones, and raise more funds. A couple housekeeping notes. I love to make this as interactive as possible. So please make sure to comment below with your questions. We are streaming live on Facebook in my Facebook private group, which is Nonprofit Social Media Marketers. So you can go check it out on LinkedIn and on YouTube. So wherever you're joining from, if you have questions for Taylor or myself today, please feel free to drop them in the comment section. That's the perk of joining live is you get a live response. If you're joining us after the fact, still comment and we'll try and go in and answer you as well. Secondly, I will be teaching on July 12th, my brand new webinar called the Donor Attraction Method. So I'm going to be teaching you how to use social media ads on Facebook and Instagram to reach your goals. And when I say goals, that can be anything. So whether you're trying to get more donors, you're trying to raise awareness for an event you have coming up and sell ticket sales, you're trying to get more email subscribers or volunteers, whatever that may be. If you have been curious about social media ads and they seem really daunting, or they feel expensive, or you've just been confused on Ads Manager, like we've all been there, join me. It's totally free. You can go to positiveequation.com/masterclass and sign up. I'll be doing it live on the 12th, and then you can catch reruns of it afterwards as well. So the live one will be on the 12th. So without further ado, I'm super excited. I have a very special guest today that Taylor and I connected through LinkedIn. Taylor Hebel is from Hope for Haiti, and Taylor is a nonprofit professional specializing in campaign strategy, communications and PR, and community engagement. She is the creator of Hope for Haiti's flagship Hike for Haiti campaign, which we'll be talking about today, and serves as the organization's director of marketing and communications. During her time at Hope for Haiti, Taylor has represented Hope for Haiti at speaking engagements like Classy Collaborative, secured media coverage in top-tier outlets, and served as a lead during the organization's 30th anniversary rebranding project. She's doing some awesome stuff, you guys. Her experience prior to joining Hope for Haiti in 2017 includes nearly 7 years of corporate advertising strategy. Ooh, Taylor, we could talk a lot about that. And project management. So without further ado, hey, Taylor.
Hey, Dana. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. I can't believe this actually came into fruition. We connected, I feel like, what was months ago.
It was.
On LinkedIn.
And
I know. We were just talking about how we don't even, like, June was a blurb.
Yeah, complete.
Like, it went by so fast. And it must feel almost like you're going into a little bit of a maybe slower period because you just wrapped Hike for Haiti in May. So I'm really excited to hear about everything that happened with that. I think ambassador programs are so important because it's how we find new people, because everyone wants to support someone that they have a relationship with. And so therefore it opens the doors to be able to learn about new causes. So I would love to dive right in, and I would love for you to tell us a little bit more about Hope for Haiti, the amazing work that you do. And then we were just talking a little bit beforehand about what's happening there right now and what continues to make the organization so relevant.
Great. Yeah. So Hope for Haiti is a nonprofit in Haiti, obviously, that's been working there for a little over 32 years now through an integrated program model to reduce poverty through 4 key program areas: education, healthcare, access to clean water, and economic development opportunities. Some highlights from 2020 included providing over 21,000 people with healthcare through our infirmary and mobile clinics, filtering 29 million gallons of water, providing over 6,500 children with education through our partner school network, and holding the first ever virtual pitch competition for female entrepreneurs in the country of Haiti.
Oh my God, I love that. I didn't know you did that.
So great. And this year's in 2021 was also virtual, although this one was for entrepreneurs of all genders. So it was a really great 2020. And I think one of my favorite things about our organization that I always like to bring up is that we have this real strong focus on local leadership. Other than the 10 employees here in the United States, the entire rest of our staff is Haitian and living in or near the communities that we serve. This includes our doctors, our nurses, our program directors, and everything. I don't know what's best for Haiti, but my colleagues do, and they're the ones who are in the field doing the work as we speak. It's really just my job to talk about it and talk about all the incredible things that they're doing and help build awareness and support for it, especially right now as Haiti continues to respond to COVID-19.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. That's awesome. And you've been there since 2017.
Correct. Yep. So about 4 years now. Next week.
That's awesome. So we are entering, or you just wrapped the 3rd hike for Haiti. So Can you tell us a little bit about when and why, or how did this concept come about for this challenge?
Yeah. So we've had 3 so far. The latest one just wrapped up May 2nd. And the way it kind of came about, we had begun partnering with this super rural community in southern Haiti called Marikouaf after their school was destroyed by Hurricane Irma in 2016. And flashback a couple years ago, I had just received some pictures and a story from the new school opening. And this community is incredible. The school is on top of a mountain that cannot be traversed by a car. Everything has to go up on foot, and the hike is the equivalent of about 200 flights of stairs. So, or like 10.5 miles if you were doing it flat. So when the school was being rebuilt, that meant that all of the concrete had to be carried up by hand.
Wow.
Yeah, right. And the community just completely stepped up and made it happen so that their kids would have a place to go to school again and better their lives. And the children make that climb every single day to go to school, access the water filtration systems we have there, and attend mobile clinics when we hold them there. And I just was blown away when I heard the story. I found it so incredibly inspiring, and I had a hunch that others would too. Especially as a nonprofit that operates overseas, we've always struggled with really giving people the opportunity to experience and feel and understand the impact that their donation will have in the lives of families in Haiti. And as much as I'd love to take every single person with me to Haiti, that's just literally not feasible. And it's not like, a humane society or a food bank where people have that in-person opportunity to really see and touch it. So I had this idea that we could challenge people around the world to hike in their hometowns in solidarity with these kids. And this is like the most punny thing ever, so I apologize. But literally walk a mile or 10.5 in these children's shoes. And from there, the event was born.
I love that. That's amazing. So does it last? Are you trying to do the 10.5 in a month?
Yeah. So it's shifted a little bit over the 3 years. The first year we asked people to do it in a weekend, but now we kind of made a pivot after COVID in 2020. And so now it's a month long, but we do have some challenges where we ask people to do it in one day and they have the chance to win prizes, or you really are just committing to do it once over the full month.
That's awesome. So this all happened in 2017 because of what happened with the school in 2016.
Correct. Yep. Yeah. So we partnered with them after their school was destroyed. We helped rebuild the school and put roofing in and bring roofing in. And that was kind of the beginning of our relationship with that community. And now we're fully kind of entrenched in their community. We recently, this past fall, I have these great photos, built a computer lab there that's run by solar power. So even the solar panels had to go up on backs recently. It's just so inspiring.
And that's what's so beautiful about that, is that you have all that imagery of
Yes.
showcasing them to like what's happening. And I love what you said was, how do we, and I think that's so true for those of us who give to any international organization where we can't be there on foot to see things in person, is how do you build that connection for people to understand and have really a lot of gratitude for where we live and realize how blessed we are, and then B, realize the true impact that your gift has. So I love that. How do you think, since you first started Hike for Haiti in 2017, how has it evolved over the years?
Yeah. So it's evolved a lot. It's changed a lot, not just in the revenue we brought in. We decided to treat kind of that first year, that 2019 event, as a test. We had like never done a fitness event before, or even one that was really focused on small gifts and not larger donations like a gala or something that was like region bound. And I think we pulled it together in like 3 weeks from when I had the idea, it got approved, to when we actually launched it. I think it was only like 3 weeks. And it consists a lot of like staff asking family and friends to get outside and hike with them for small, little small groups. And we had a super low fundraising goal of like $5,000, picked a weekend to tell people to hike, put it out on social media, and figured we'd see how it went. But people really kind of immediately started responding really well to it. And we ended up raising over $10,000. And that was when we knew that we had something. So for 2020, had all of these huge plans to scale. We decided to launch the ambassador program for the event, which I know we're going to talk about in just a little bit, and see if we could get some high profile individuals with authentic ties to Haiti to take on the challenge and share it and encourage people to donate. And we had these plans to do large in-person activations in like New York City and Miami. But this is the story that everyone's been telling for the past year. COVID hit and we had to reevaluate. And we were so lucky that the event has always had that virtual component to it. But we had to quickly figure out a way to make sure that the distance was still accessible and achievable to people who were now stuck inside their houses with no end date in sight. So last year we started partnering with fitness partners from gyms across the country to hold live stream fitness classes that were hike inspired. So like you can't do awesome. Flights of stairs in your 1-story apartment, but you could take a hike inspired yoga class and still participate. And it ended up being actually great timing to launch an ambassador program too, because these high profile people were also stuck at home and looking for good causes to get involved with. We were hoping to raise, we had big dreams originally, scaled back those dreams. We're hoping to, make about 50K that second year. It ended up at 106, which was over 10x the revenue from the previous year.
Nice.
Which was awesome. And then this year we did it again. We raised nearly $350,000 with 23 ambassadors, 2 major live streamed activations, and over 500 participants from around the world. We had people in the UK, we had people in Qatar, they were just everywhere. And best of all, the average donation size was under $100, which really, goes to show you that those small gifts add up.
That's amazing. I love that. I'm taking notes. Okay, so 23 ambassadors,
yes.
500 supporters, I'll call them hikers, right?
Yes, we had 500 hikers.
Okay, so what was the first year?
Do you have those numbers? Was a little bit over $10,000 raise. The second year was 106, and this year was almost 350.
How many? That's incredible. Congratulations, by the way. That's
Thank
awesome.
You.
So you had year one, I'm assuming, was there 0 ambassadors?
There were 0 ambassadors year one. Yep.
Okay, and then how many hikers?
Oh, let me pull it up 1 second. I don't remember off the top of my head, but I have it open.
But what I love about this is that year one, you were just doing it internally, right? You were sending like emails to people and posting it on social. And it was like, it was organic.
Yeah, it was very organic. It was very grassroots. We put it out in our email newsletter. We put it out on social media, but it was really just kind of driving internally towards supporters that we already knew, but ended up getting new people shared with friends. And we were kind of surprised by the traction it got, even in that first year. Like I said, we were hoping to raise like 5K and we ended up raising over 10.
Yeah, I was wondering from like year one to now in year 3, of the now 500 supporters, how many of them supported you beforehand? I don't know if you have that either, versus how many are new.
We definitely had record-breaking both last year and this year of new donors from this event compared to other campaigns that we run throughout the year. And we have seen pretty good retention year over year. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but we have seen a lot of retention, including our ambassadors. We had some ambassadors last year who came back this year and were ambassadors again. Same with partners. We've had some gyms, like smaller gyms in areas like Atlanta, where they partner with us for the first year. Yeah. Where they decided to hold a charity fitness class in honor of the hike in our first year, helped with that 10K goal, that 10K raise, and have stuck with us, and we're partners again this year. So we've been so lucky to find some really dedicated long-term partners in this, both from hikers, ambassadors, and just kind of corporate partners.
That's awesome. I love that. Do you think, and I know, did you find your number?
I'm pulling, sorry.
You're good. No, you're good. I was like, I'm going to ask you another question.
I came back to this window. Hold on. 1 second. It's opening up right now.
You're all good. And does anybody, as we're talking about this, make sure, again, if you have any questions, if you're thinking about doing an ambassador program, if you want to launch one, Taylor is a wealth of knowledge on this. I am learning as we are talking. So I want this to be an experience for you as well. Also, if you want to check out more of what they're doing while she's looking, you can go to hopeforhaiti.com. And she uses one of my favorite fundraising tools, which is Fundraise Up. You can check that out on their website too. So just 2 quick things. If you have questions, holler and go check out their website.
So we had 67 registered hikers in the first year. So that does not include our staff. And then in last year, we had 334. So it went from 67 to 334 to over 500.
That's incredible. That's awesome.
So that's sorry the delay. It took me a second to bring it up.
No, you're all good. I know I'm just throwing you off with some of these questions.
I should have had it in front of me.
You're all good. From year over year, do you think there was one thing that made the program like exponentially more successful? Or something you changed? Yeah.
I mean, I think, I'd be so remiss if I didn't mention our incredible ambassadors in that ambassador program. I mean, they really stepped up to the plate and drove support from people like Karen Civil, who works in media, Claudine Joseph, who is the COO of LL Cool J's company. We had NFL player Jerry Jeudy, author Roxanne Gay, and then we had a whole group of live stream gamers that were led by his gaming name is Spring Sims, but his real name is Stephen Works. And they actually raised over $90,000 this year. Wow. It was incredible, just streaming on Twitch. And, without them, they really helped scale it and get the event in front of eyes that we wouldn't necessarily be able to. We had Nick Cannon, SZA tweeting about the event this year. And I think the other piece that also really helped is how authentically tied the event is to the impact. We're asking you to hike in solidarity with kids who do the same thing every single day just to get an education. It really helps you kind of immediately visualize that impact and connect with it.
That's amazing. So you mentioned a lot of names. Yes. How do you, when you're coming out with this ambassador program, how do you recruit them?
Yeah. So for the past 2 years, we've worked with the agency WCPG to help kind of recruit new talent in. And then internally, we make sure that we steward those ambassador relationships throughout the year to make sure that they want to return, and so that we can kind of convert them into long-term supporters. We also do a ton of research and cold outreach to individuals who we think may be interested or have an authentic tie to Haiti. And that pre-work is really like the bulk of it, and it can be the most time-consuming part, doing all of that research to find people who have that authentic tie, and building those outreach lists, and then also just kind of mentally and personally preparing yourself to receive a lot of rejections or people just not responding. It's a numbers game, but people can't say no if you don't ask. And, people are always looking for ways to help the community, and help out, especially high profile individuals. And especially during times like this, like COVID, it's just a numbers game, and you're going to get rejected a lot, but you'll get there.
Yeah, 100%. When you said cold outreach, is that are you using Instagram or Twitter or?
Whatever you can get your hands on. So we did a lot on Instagram. Yeah. You want to meet people where they are. So Instagram, we did a lot with, LinkedIn as well. We did a lot of outreach to like managers and stuff like that on LinkedIn. And just email, we send a lot of emails.
I love that. Did you see a better response on any certain platform?
I would say it depended on the type of ambassador. So, with the sports players, it's always best to probably go through like the manager. And for that, it'd be more of like an email or a LinkedIn. If you're talking more like media people or celebrities, and Instagram was great too.
Yeah, it's amazing. What I love about Instagram and Twitter for that matter, or LinkedIn, is the push notification.
Yes.
That it sends to their phone. So oftentimes they'll see it. And it's a space where you can be much more conversational and have like just a short blurb without it being like this long email with a bunch of information that a lot of times people won't read. But yeah, I love that for the fact of, and oftentimes, so when you sent a note on Instagram and you got a response back, was it a contact my manager for this, or was it somebody else managing their account normally?
It was kind of a mix. I was surprised by, I think our whole team was surprised by how many people actually, these high profile people actually do. If they don't fully run their own accounts, they at least have access to it. So we did hear from, some people directly through Instagram, and it was them. It was not a social media person. Other people, it was like, yes, here's the email address, shoot an email with all the details, and we'll get back to you.
Yeah. Was the ask for them to post about the event or participate and post, like, or was that different dependent upon who the person was?
So we did have kind of a standard thing that we would ask all of the ambassadors to do. So we asked each of them to commit to fundraising $2,500,
Nice.
and which we felt was low enough for some people who were more micro influencers to still be able to reach. And we asked them to share it at least 2 or 3 times throughout the month. There was no like hard and fast, like you're not an ambassador if you don't meet that fundraising goal, or, you forget to post. But we provided them with graphics, and we would create the fundraising page for them, help them craft the story, put up their headshot for them and everything. Just try to making it as easy and simple of a process for them as possible. One thing that we're looking into for the 2022 event, as we start to plan that, is we're looking into kind of creating different types of ambassadorships that would ask different things. So, we're asking you just to share. You don't need to you don't need to fundraise. We did it unofficially, this year and last year, where, there were some who supported in other ways other than fundraising. And we had it all under like the one umbrella, but I think we'll probably kind of start to separate it out as we look forward and continue to grow it.
Yeah, cool. I love that. Yeah, I think there's some people where certain barriers of entry they're cool with, and some they might not. But I love the fact that you put as how did you word the goal? Like a suggested $2,500.
So we just put together an ambassador deck and said, this is what we're going to ask you to do. Here's about the event, here's everything about the event. Here, is what we would ask you to do if you decide to sign on as an ambassador. We'd ask that you fundraise $2,500. We will give you all of the tools to do that. We'll give you the social media posts. We'll give you the fundraising page already created for you. All you have to do is share it out and do outreach to your network. And we just love it if you would share it and provide us with some content that we could, reshare on our channels and use for promotion in the coming years. We didn't get any pushback on it. The only ones where we probably said it a little more gently than that were the, really higher end people where we would be happy with them supporting it in whatever way they best, see. And so we'd be like, well, it's okay if you don't fundraise. We really just want you to share it. We really just want you involved in any way, shape, or form. It worked, and I'm excited to see how we continue to scale it moving into 2022 with kind of these different buckets of ambassadors, and different kind of they're not commitments, because we're not saying, well, you have to pay it's not like a traditional fundraising commitment where then they would be on the hook if they don't make that, you know, 2,500.
It'd be awesome. I'm just thinking about this. It'd be awesome if like the 23 people had to nominate like 2 of their friends.
Oh,
like,
I love that.
Join them for the next year.
For 2022.
So then they have to like tweet it out or post it on Instagram and tag their friends and be like, hey, I'm signing you up for the challenge, or you have to join me in the challenge.
I am totally stealing that for 2022. So thank you for that idea.
Welcome. So let's talk a little bit about staff.
Yes.
And I'm going to mute real quick. Okay. So I'm getting a little bit of feedback. So yeah, it's okay. I muted you so you can come back on when you're ready to talk, and I'll unmute. I don't know why this happens sometimes. So sorry, everybody. How many people does it take internally to run Hike for Haiti, just the challenge portion? And then what do those different roles look like?
Okay, I'm unmuted. So we're an incredibly lean team. And so this is something that I am here to tell anyone watching. It is possible to be done by a small team with a very limited budget. It really does just take like the one good idea and a willingness to work some long hours to get it done. That said, it is a good chunk of work at Hope for Haiti. You know, it's an all hands on deck situation. Our full team is involved, from managing the event itself here on like the development and marketing side, to having our program staff all hiked up the mountain in Haiti this year to hold a mobile clinic.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah. So those who were able hiked up the mountain together, all in solidarity, on one Friday. And then those who were not physically able to do that hike, because it is a strenuous hike. It takes about 3 hours. If you're not up to doing it every single day, like if you're not used to it, it takes about 3 hours. So those who couldn't do the hike did a kind of a walk through Lakai, which is where our main office in Haiti and our infirmary is. So everyone on our staff was involved in the event in some way or another. But I also think it's critical, you need to have 1 or 2 point persons for an event like this, who really like truly live and breathe it. It's their baby. They want to see it succeed. Especially when the event is a month long. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Yeah. Like a month long is a long time to keep people excited, wanting to fundraise and keep them engaged. So for the hike, that's myself and my colleague, Sarah Porter. Because we're so small, we don't really have, such a small staff. We don't really have specifically designated, roles in it, other than, you're in a support position and you're in a, point position. But we do kind of have buckets that we put everyone in, whether it's like gift processing, engagement, which is such a huge piece, engagement with the hikers, the ambassadors, the sponsors, making sure questions are being answered quickly, making sure everyone's happy, providing resources like graphics, toolkits, just checking in and encouraging everyone along the way. And then your normal social media, live streaming, press, media, and the program impact, which is the most important thing. That's why you're doing the work anyway. That's why you're fundraising anyway, is to make that program impact. And it's critical to us as an organization. And I think what really fuels the success is that we want to share photos, videos, testimonials with every single person who hikes, with everyone who donates or signs up. We want to be able to show you exactly the impact that your donation was able to make. So our program team is incredible with taking photos while they're out in the field, writing up little narratives that we can share via email or just personal outreach, and really making people feel like they're welcome members of the Hope for Haiti family and the Hike for Haiti community.
That's awesome. I love that. Do you think, are there any roles that now looking back after 3 years that you're like, ooh, I wish we had one person to do this?
I would say with an event like this, with, how long a month is with engagement, like having someone solely dedicated to, working with the hikers and the ambassadors is really important. That having someone whose like sole dedication is making sure all the questions are being answered, that, you're congratulating people when they hit their fundraising goals, that you're, just really at everyone's beck and call for that month. I think that's probably the most important piece of it. Yeah, that would probably be the one. Also, press and media is so important because that's how, the message keeps getting out and it helps your ambassadors feel recognized as well when they see their names in media.
Those are great. Those are great. Yeah. Almost somebody who's kind of like your cheerleader and your coach for the month.
Yes.
And giving you your updates. And then yes, press and media is absolutely crucial. I agree. That's awesome. So for anyone who would be thinking about running an ambassador program, what is your advice?
Yeah. So I would say biggest piece of advice, personalize whenever possible. Don't just send like a stock email to everyone on your outreach list. Like really try to show these potential ambassadors that they're special and that they'd be making a measurable impact in the quality of life and the people that you serve. I think that's why we got the responses that we did, is because we would go out through Instagram or LinkedIn or something and say like, hey, we know you donated to this back then, or we know that you come from a Haitian family, you're Haitian American. And we see that your dad is from this community that's only 2 communities over from where we work, really trying to make those authentic connections and really personalize it goes a long way. It takes more time, but you'll see better outcomes from it. And with that, I think it's really important to have an authentic tie between your program or the event, whatever you're running this through, with the impact. Like a hike's not going to work for everyone and in every case. Like it works for this because the kids are hiking, but maybe for someone else it's a swim because it's something to do with water or something like that. Like there needs to be some kind of, I think,
a direct tie.
Yeah, there needs to be that tie. And do as much as you can in advance. Like I say this every year that we do it, and then I still end up like procrastinating on some things and get pulled into doing them during the month when I know they should be done like so far in advance. Those outreach lists, keep them up to date throughout the year so that, when it comes time to start outreach again, like you don't have to sort through a full year's worth of newspaper articles, write those emails. Yeah. Create those social media graphics, have it all ready to go, have it all scheduled, and then you just need to like review it one more time and push it out.
That's such a great piece of advice, because then you can be focused on what's actively happening and you can be more reactive than just trying to get things out the door. And especially if you have approval processes and stuff like that, like get it done, get it all approved, then you just have all the content ready to go. And then the last piece of advice, which I say way too often, so I should probably tweak it at some point, but like, don't be afraid to like beta test and iterate. I mean, we had never done an event like this before. We had never done an ambassador program like this before. It was all new to us. We weren't sure if it was going to work or not. Like just do it. Don't wait until it's perfect, until you know that it's going to work. 'Cause 100%.
Then you're putting in a lot of staff time and a lot of resources to something that might not everything works. So just try it and then learn from it and iterate. Like I said, like the event back in 2019 was completely different than the event we just ran a couple months ago. I mean, even the name changed. The first year we called it the Mac Challenge because the community is Marquaf. And we were like, oh, Mac Challenge, that like kind of rolls off the tongue, whatever. But then we realized people didn't know what Mac Challenge meant.
Right.
And so people started kind of organically calling it that, saying that they were hiking for Haiti. And we're like, well, there's our new name. So
you were listening.
Yeah. So change the name for the second, I think about like partway through the weekend of that first year, we started calling it the Hike for Haiti Mac Challenge. And then we dropped the Mac Challenge for the second year because rolls off the tongue a whole lot easier. I didn't come up with it.
Yeah, totally. I love that. So one last question that just came to mind. In 2017, when you were first thinking about starting it, did you have to get a lot of buy-in? Was it difficult to launch it? And like, what was that process like?
Yeah. So I think I came up with it actually in like 2019. That was when like we were doing the dedication for the new school. We just started working with the community back in 2017 after the hurricane. Okay. But there was a buy-in process. We had never done anything like this before, like I said, and we had never done a campaign that really focused on those small gifts and the importance of them and really trying to hit that like social media generation. And I'm lucky that I work in an organization that, we always try to embrace the newest technologies, try new things. And so my CEO and our chief development officer were really incredible.
That's awesome.
And, greenlit it when I brought it to them, but it was also a green light, like, okay, yeah, it's greenlit, but we don't have budget for a new event like this because our budget's already, completed. And
Yeah.
if we're going to do it, you probably need to do it in like a couple weeks because schools are going to be out. So it was a green light, but it was a green light, but like, let's see where this goes. But
Yeah.
it totally gave me the opportunity, to prove it. And then from there, it's been, all hands on deck, and we have an incredible team that makes it happen every year. It's not just me, it's not just Sarah, it's our whole team behind it, and everyone believes in it. So that's great. Sometimes you just need to like prove it before you get all the resources.
Yeah. And I love that you spun it up in 3 weeks, right?
Yeah.
And then now 3 years later, it sounds like a tentpole event that you host every year. And now like everyone's on board for it. And it's grown into this beautiful ambassador program with partnerships and press and media. And I think what you said is so important in trying to also recognize the individual smaller donations and giving people an opportunity to be a part of something without having to maybe fundraise or pay for an expensive gala ticket, right? Which is oftentimes what happens. And I think it's also cool because at any level you can participate, and it's something fun and it's healthy and it authentically connects to the organization. So bravo. I think
Thank you.
everything about tech and social media changes every single day. And we can either choose to be afraid of it and think it's intimidating and daunting, or exactly what you said, iterate and pivot and test. And that's what you guys did. And now this event is here to stay. And it sounds like you're doing a really good job of continuing to iterate every year based upon what's happening culturally, what's happening tech-wise, what's happening with different people to partner with. So I think this is how, and it's so awesome to hear you talk about a nonprofit this way that's innovative and just like, hey, I have an idea. And to have the leadership say, sure, Taylor, we trust you. Go ahead.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'm so lucky to work, at Hope for Haiti. I love our leadership. I love, and I love this event. And I really do think that something like this is attainable for organizations of all sizes and all budgets. Like I said, it just takes the one good idea, and the trying something new. This year we started using Twitch and Tiltify and Streamlabs for the first time. I had the gaming, the kids on the gaming team, teaching me like, how do I do this? How do I set up different webcams? I don't know what I'm doing. I like to think that I'm tech savvy, but like now maybe I'm not. And those small gifts, I mean, that $90,000 that team raised, so many of it were $1 donations. They did dollar trains where they asked everyone to donate $1. And it just, I mean, the email notifications we were getting of the amount raised per day from them was just astounding, like $10,000, $12,000. Like it added up so quickly.
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to go after those small donations, because like you want to get those people while they're still really young, and you want to steward them throughout their life so that, by the time they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars 10 years from now, you're still their favorite charity.
Totally. It's all about that, keeping that share of voice and being top of mind for them. I remember in college, I participated in Dance Marathon, and I tell this story a lot.
My sister did too. Yeah.
Yeah, for Children's Miracle Network hospitals. And so I was 18 years old, I was a freshman in college, and that's really how I started to learn about philanthropy and giving. And so just like a couple weeks ago, they were doing, Publix is one of their corporate partners, and they had the balloons at checkout. And it's like, you can do a $1, $3, or $5 donation. And I was like, sure, sign me up for $5. But that's because, oh my God, over a lot of years later, I still remember who they are. So I love that. That's awesome. Amazing. Dollar by dollar, we make it happen when we grow.
Yeah, it all adds up.
That's right.
Next year we're going for a $500,000. So, let's hope.
Yes, that's amazing. I'll totally do it. I'll sign up.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Do it. Make sure to send me a note when it comes around. Remind me, or hopefully I'll see a sponsored ad come through on Facebook or something.
I'm just going to take this clip. I'm just going to cut out this clip of the recording and send it to you and say, hey, Dana, remember, back in June, you said that you would do this?
Done. Done. I'll make sure my husband does it too.
Great.
Taylor, thank you so much for joining me. This has been awesome. I've learned so much. I hope everyone listening has learned so much. And I hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you all so much. Thanks again for having me. This has been so fun.
You're so welcome. Bye, Taylor.
Bye.
Okay. She was incredible. Taylor, thank you so much. If anybody wants to look up Hope for Haiti, go to hopeforhaiti.com and you can learn more information about their organization, all the work they're doing around COVID right now. And again, I think their Hike for Haiti website is under development, but that will come up again soon. And then also my free webinar, don't miss it, on July 12th on the donor attraction method. At 1 p.m. it will be live, and I will put the link in the comments of both the Hope for Haiti website and for the masterclass for you to sign up for that. And that is it. So if you have any questions about what we discussed today, please let me know. Hopefully Taylor can hop back into the comments too. And I hope everybody has a great rest of their week and is enjoying the beautiful summertime. Bye, everyone.